Ambassador Kira Holt stepped off the human shuttle with a calm expression that did not match the tension filling the large landing bay. Representatives from dozens of species waited in stiff silence, their eyes following every move she made. The Galactic Council had summoned the humans with an urgency that surprised even their closest allies. The message had been formal, heavy, and almost threatening. But Kira walked forward as if she were arriving for a casual meeting, not a political trial. Her boots echoed lightly across the polished floor. The council guards, tall insectoid creatures with jointed limbs, stiffened as she passed. Kira only offered them a polite smile before adjusting the small device attached to her belt. Behind her walked two human aides, both young and trying not to look too impressed by the grand hall before them. The landing bay itself was enormous. Bright lights reflected off smooth silver panels, and banners of various species hung from the high walls. The humans were used to practical, simple designs, so the heavy decorations seemed almost theatrical. Kira noticed it all but did not comment. She simply kept walking, her stride relaxed and confident. She held a small cup in one hand. Steam rose from it with a warm, comforting smell. Many alien representatives turned their heads, whispering in their native tongues. Few of them had ever seen a human so calm in the face of a council summons. Fewer had seen one casually drinking as if nothing serious was about to happen. An assistant of the council, a thin, blue-skinned figure with shimmering eyes, stepped forward and bowed. "Ambassador Holt," he said in a soft voice, "the council is waiting. They request your presence at once?" Kira nodded. "Of course. Lead the way." The assistant turned, and Kira followed him through a long corridor that curved upward. The walls were filled with holographic displays showing scenes of past council gatherings. Images of great victories, solved disputes, and peaceful alliances floated like memories trapped in glass. Her aides looked around with awe, but Kira kept her eyes forward. She had been here before. The council hall always felt the same to her, too serious, too proud, and too convinced of its own importance. When they reached the main chamber, massive doors slid open with a deep hum. The sound echoed across the huge room, filled with rows of tiered seats where representatives from every major species sat waiting. Their eyes focused on the humans at once. Kira paused for just a second. Not from fear, but from amusement. "I guess they are in the mood for drama today," she whispered to one of her aides, who nearly choked on their breath. Then she stepped forward. The floor of the council chamber was made of dark glass-like material that reflected soft lights from above. The center platform where the summoned party stood rose slightly. Kira walked onto it and took her place with perfect calm. Her aides stood behind her, straight-backed and silent. A large figure stood at the highest seat, towering above the rest. Councillor Valen, a member of the ancient Seraph species, looked down with stern yellow eyes. His voice boomed through the hall. "Ambassador Holt of Earth, humanity has been summoned to respond to its recent behaviors and actions, which have caused great concern across this galaxy." Kira sipped her coffee. "Of course," she said politely. "Happy to discuss." A wave of murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives were offended by her casual tone. Others were amused. A few, particularly the younger species, tried to hide their smiles. Humans had always been unpredictable, but today they seemed even more unusual. Councillor Valen continued, speaking with slow authority. "This council meets in the interest of balance and safety. You have been called here because humanity has acted outside the boundaries agreed upon by member civilizations. Many fear your species is becoming reckless." Kira listened without flinching. Her eyes remained steady on the councillor's face. "Councillor," she said once he finished, "may I ask something before we begin?" "You may," he replied, though his voice hinted at disapproval. "Why is everyone staring at my cup?" The chamber fell into stunned silence. Her aides froze. Councillor Valen blinked. "Your cup?" Kira raised it slightly. "Yes, this. It's just coffee. Humans drink it when they need to sit through long meetings." A representative with wide golden eyes leaned forward. "You bring drinks? To a council summons?" Kira shrugged lightly. Yes, these things take a while, and I didn't want to fall asleep. The hall erupted in confused chatter. Some delegates seemed shocked by her boldness. Others whispered about human customs, trying to understand whether this was an insult or simply another example of human oddity. Counselor Valen tapped the surface in front of him, sending a sharp sound through the hall. "Order," he commanded. Gradually the whispers faded. "Ambassador Holt, I ask that you treat this gathering with proper seriousness." "I assure you," Kira answered smoothly, "I take everything seriously, including staying awake." Even some of the restrained delegates could not hide a small laugh. A few of the stricter species glared at them. Counselor Valen sighed, an expression unfamiliar to most who knew him. "Very well. The council will proceed." Kira nodded and folded her hands behind her back, the cup resting calmly in one of them. Her posture was relaxed, almost friendly, which contrasted strongly with the rigid tension filling the room. As the first accusations were listed, Kira listened without showing discomfort. She had expected all of this. The council was predictable, always following old traditions and complex rules. Humanity in their eyes moved too quickly, discovered too much, and pushed too many boundaries. What the council did not understand was that humans did not act recklessly, they simply adapted fast. Their curiosity drove them forward, and their stubbornness kept them from slowing down even when the galaxy expected them to. From the upper seats, a representative from the Kethan species rose. Their voice was sharp and cold. "Human activity in the outer sectors has increased by 200% in the last 5 cycles. Your expansion ignores several territorial guidelines. What explanation do you offer?" Kira lifted one eyebrow. "We had space. We used it." Gasps echoed through the chamber. "That does not justify ignoring regulations." The Kethan snapped. Kira nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe not. But some of those regulations were written before humans even joined the council. We weren't consulted. They don't fit the current state of the galaxy." More murmurs, louder this time. A large armored species known as the Groll pounded one fist on their desk. "Human ships have been testing new drives near Groll borders. Such behavior is dangerous." Kira tilted her head slightly. "Our tests were in empty space. No one was harmed." "The space is not empty," the Groll growled. "It is watched by our guardians." She gave a polite smile. "Then perhaps they should have said hello. Our pilots never saw them." The Groll's roar of frustration rattled several delegates, but Kira did not react. She remained steady, calm, almost amused. The council continued listing concerns: experimental wormholes, rapid technological production, and even rumors that humans had uplifted a small primitive species by accident. Each accusation filled the chamber with growing pressure. But Kira deflected them with logical explanations or gentle humor. What confused the council most was that she was not afraid. Most species summoned here trembled, bowed, or pleaded. Humans did none of these things. Counselor Valen paused after the long list ended. He leaned forward slightly. "Ambassador Holt," he said slowly, "your reaction suggests that humanity does not view these matters with proper seriousness." Kira met his gaze. "We take the galaxy seriously. We simply don't panic every time someone raises their voice." For the first time, a faint sound of laughter flowed from several seats. The more traditional species shot them angry looks, but the laughter did not fully stop. Kira rested her free hand on the edge of the platform. "Let me be clear. Humanity respects the council. We follow most of your rules and we try to cooperate. But some of your demands are based on old fears. You want everyone to move slowly, carefully, and quietly. Humans don't work that way." The silence that followed was deep. She continued, her tone calm and steady. "We learn by trying. We grow by experimenting. If we waited for every council approval, entire generations would pass before we dared to build anything new." A representative from a small aquatic species raised a timid hand. "Are humans not afraid of consequences?" Kira smiled kindly. "Of course we are afraid. But fear doesn't stop us. It motivates us to do better." The aquatic representative nodded slowly, trying to understand. Meanwhile, Several members of the council exchanged uncertain looks. They had expected resistance, perhaps even excuses, but they had not expected calm confidence. Kira took another sip from her cup, letting the warm liquid steady her breath. If the council wants humans to explain our actions, we will. But if the council expects us to apologize for trying to improve the galaxy, that is something we cannot do. The room grew still. Even Councillor Valen seemed unsure how to respond. Kira stood tall, her gaze sweeping across the chamber. We came here to talk. Not to surrender, not to beg, but to discuss as equals. Her words carried through the hall, settling over the delegates like a soft but unmovable weight. Some species looked angry, but others looked thoughtful. A few seemed almost hopeful, as if they wished their own species had the same courage. Councillor Valen finally spoke again, though his voice had lost some of its earlier authority. Very well, Ambassador Holt. The Council will hear your explanations in detail. But know this: humanity's future role in this galaxy will be shaped by what happens in this chamber today. Kira nodded. I understand, and I'm ready. As she stood there, calm and confident under the gaze of the entire Galactic Council, the truth became clear to everyone watching. The humans were not afraid, they were prepared, and whatever came next, they would face it with the same bold spirit that had carried them across the stars. The council chamber was quieter now, though tension still lingered in the air like a heavy mist. Ambassador Kira Holt stood on the central platform, hands relaxed at her sides, cup still in hand. Her calm manner unsettled many of the delegates, who were used to summoned species arriving nervous and obedient. Humans, as usual, did not fit the pattern. Councillor Valen lifted one long arm, and the great screens around the chamber flickered to life. Dozens of images appeared: human starships, research stations, wormhole experiments, expansion routes, and maps of regions where humanity's presence had grown. The screens floated above the delegates, casting soft-colored light across their faces. Ambassador Holt, Valen said, these images represent your species' activities. The Council will now present its demands. Kira responded with a gentle nod, but she did not change her expression. She looked ready to sit through anything they said. A representative from the slender Lyri race rose, their voice light but sharp. Demand number 1. Humanity must immediately suspend all wormhole construction and FTL experiments until the Council performs a full review. Kira blinked slowly. All experiments? Yes, the Lyri replied. Your tests are creating unstable distortions near several borders. Kira kept her tone even. Our scientists say the distortions are harmless. Our scientists disagree, the Lyri snapped. Kira tilted her head. Which scientists? Because last cycle your people tried to ban artificial moons. You said they were dangerous. They turned out to be perfectly safe. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Lyri turned red with embarrassment. A heavy voice joined in. Demand number 2, rumbled the Gruul representative. Humans must withdraw from the outer sectors. That territory is under Council regulation. Kira nodded patiently. We did not take any occupied worlds. We set up research posts on empty planets. The outer sectors are restricted for a reason, the Gruul growled. Because of old fear, Kira replied. Fear of what? Ancient ghost stories? The Council has never given us a proper explanation. Gruul slammed a fist onto their desk, making nearby species flinch. It is not for you to question. Kira raised an eyebrow. If we follow the rules, we have the right to know why they exist. A ripple of whispers swept through the chamber. Some species nodded in agreement, though quietly. Others glared at her for daring to challenge the Council so openly. Then a small green creature from the Zikri delegation climbed onto its seat and spoke in a thin voice. Demand number 3. Human fleets must reduce weapon production by 40%. Other species fear you are preparing for war. Kira's face softened, though her voice remained steady. We are preparing for emergencies, not war. The Zikri tilted their head. What kind of emergencies require so many weapons? Large ones, Kira said simply. Her answer made a few delegates look confused and others uneasy. She knew they assumed humans were hiding something or planning something aggressive. The council had always believed that rapid progress equaled danger, but Kira's calm tone carried no threat. Only truth. The screens changed again, now showing images of 3 small alien species primitive, barely beginning to grasp simple technology. Demand number 4, announced a tall delegate with glowing skin. Humanity must explain why these minor species show signs of sudden advancement. There are rumors that humanity has uplifted them without council permission. Kira let out a soft breath. That was an accident. The glowing-skinned delegate frowned. Accident? Yes, our cargo ship crashed on their planet and left behind equipment. They found it. They studied it. We went back to retrieve the ship, and by then they had learned quite a lot. You should have reported it, the delegate said. We did, Kira replied. But your office said the report would take 20 cycles to process. We didn't think it was wise to wait that long. A few delegates laughed. Others gasped. The glowing-skinned delegate sat down stiffly. The next representative, a mechanical being from the Synth Coalition, stood. Their metallic voice echoed clearly. Demand number 5. Humanity must slow down technological development. You are progressing at a pace that destabilizes expectations and systems across the galaxy. Kira nodded as if she had expected this one. With respect, slowing down is not something humans do. It is required, the synth insisted. Required by who? Kira asked. By species who fear change? Or by leaders who want the galaxy to stay exactly as they control it? A wave of reactions spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked offended. Others looked guilty. Many looked thoughtful. Counselor Valen rose again. The chamber quieted immediately. Ambassador Holt, he said, his voice low and heavy, the Council demands that humanity comply with these restrictions. If you do not, your species risks sanctions. This is not a threat. It is a consequence. Kira inhaled slowly, her expression still calm. She set her cup down on the platform gently. I understand, she said. A flicker of relief passed through a few delegates, but then she continued. At the same time, the Council needs to understand something. The chamber fell silent again. Kira stepped forward, her voice strong and steady. Humanity is not expanding for power. We are not experimenting for glory. And we are not building weapons for domination. Valen narrowed his eyes. Then why? Kira looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as she could. Because we do not have the luxury of time. A confused murmur rose. The small aquatic representative from earlier leaned closer. What do you mean? Time for what? Kira thought for a moment, then spoke. There is something out there. Something big. The Gruul scoffed loudly. Do not try to distract us with stories. This is not a story, Kira replied calmly. Valen raised a hand. Ambassador Holt, the Council demands clarity. Kira nodded. Of course. But clarity requires trust. And right now, trust between humans and the Council is very thin. Several delegates shifted awkwardly. It was true, Kira continued. For many cycles, humanity has sent warnings to this Council. Reports of strange readings at the edge of the galaxy. Stars disappearing. Signals being swallowed. We shared everything we found. We saw no proof, said the leery representative. You saw no threat, Kira corrected. Because the Council believes threats move slowly. Humanity does not share that belief. The chamber filled with uneasy silence. Kira moved her hands behind her back. The reason we build wormholes is to move faster. The reason we expand is to find safer ground. The reason we uplift species even accidentally is because we believe everyone deserves a chance. The reason we build weapons is because something is coming. Some delegates leaned forward. Others leaned back. The synth representative spoke. What is coming? Kira looked up at the floating screens. We don't know its name. We don't know its purpose. But we know what it does. It consumes. Not planets. Not fleets. Entire galaxies. The chamber erupted in noise. Impossible, shouted one delegate. Fear tactics. cried another. You expect us to believe this? Yelled the Groll. Kira waited patiently. When the noise finally settled, she spoke again. Human telescopes captured the first signs 30 years ago. A faint distortion, a ripple, then another. Then entire star clusters vanished from our readings. Valen's voice was hard. Why did we not receive this data? You did, Kira said. You claimed the readings were faulty. You said our instruments were unstable. You told us to stop spreading panic. A few delegates turned to look at the council members in the higher seats, their expressions uncertain. Kira continued. Humanity stopped sending reports because no one listened. So we prepared alone? We built faster. We learned more. We experimented with new technologies not because we wanted to dominate, but because we wanted to survive. Silence fell, heavier than before. Kira glanced around again. Her voice softened. The Council sees our actions as reckless, but humans see them as necessary. If the threat reaches us, the entire galaxy will need defenses stronger than anything we have now. And if we wait for every species to agree on every decision, we will never be ready. Valen lowered himself into his seat slowly, his face unreadable. Ambassador Holt, you claim a galaxy-eating force exists. Can you prove it? Kira nodded once. Yes, gasps filled the chamber. She pressed a button on her wrist device. The screens flickered again. This time the images were darker, more disturbing stars bending unnaturally, space folding in strange patterns, entire systems disappearing from long-range scans. Delegates whispered in fear. Kira spoke calmly. Human scientists call it the Devourer. We believe it is getting closer. A cold chill spread through the room. One of Kira's aides stepped forward and whispered something into her ear. She listened, nodded, and turned back toward the council. My people have detected new activity in the Orion Arm. Very recent. Very strong. Delegates stared at her with growing dread. Kira continued in a quiet voice. This is why we move fast. This is why we break limits. Not because we disrespect the council, but because we cannot afford to ignore the danger that is coming. The council chamber stayed silent, not from discipline but from fear, for the first time. They understood. The humans were not mocking the council. They were trying to save themselves and maybe the entire galaxy. The council chamber felt colder than before. The images on the screens still showed the strange cosmic distortions. Humans had recorded stars bent like soft metal, space twisted into impossible shapes, and whole sections of distant sky gone dark. Many delegates stared at them with wide, fearful eyes. Others refused to look at all. Ambassador Kira Holt stood in the center of the platform, calm as ever. Her cup of coffee sat beside her, untouched for the first time since she arrived. Even she understood the weight of what she had just revealed. Counselor Valen leaned forward slowly. His deep yellow eyes were fixed on Kira. You claim these distortions are caused by an extragalactic force, he said. A devourer. Yes, Kira replied. And you claim it is already approaching the Orion Arm. Yes, a low shiver traveled across the room as delegates murmured among themselves. Then the Groll representative rose. His thick, armor-like skin glinted in the chamber lights. If humans knew of this threat, he growled, why did you not force the council to listen earlier? Kira met his gaze without flinching. We tried. Your offices refused our data. Each report took cycles to process. And when answers finally came, they always said the same thing, no threat detected. The Groll gritted his teeth, but said nothing more. A member of the Synth coalition, a mechanical being with glowing blue lines running through its body, stood. Why did humanity not reveal this evidence publicly? Kira inhaled slowly. Because the first time we tried, we were accused of spreading fear to justify our experiments. We learned that the galaxy does not react well to warnings. She paused. And because we wanted to be ready before panic spread, the synth tilted its head. Ready in what way? Kira pressed a small button on her wrist device. The screens changed again. This time they showed something new, a massive structure in deep space. Metallic rings miles wide curved around a glowing core. Smaller stations floated around it like silver vines. Entire fleets of human ships moved around the structure, transporting materials, running tests, or simply watching. Delegates gasped. A tall avian species whispered, "What is that?" Kira stepped closer to the center of the platform. Her voice remained steady, but there was pride in her tone now. "This is Project Aegis." Silence fell again. "A shield?" asked a reptilian delegate. Kira nodded. "A galaxy-wide protection system. Still incomplete, but functional in small sections." Murmurs grew louder. "You built this in secret?" cried the leery representative. "It wasn't a secret," Kira said. "We filed the construction reports like everyone else. Your offices ignored them, assuming humans were exaggerating." Several delegates exchanged embarrassed glances. Valen raised a hand, silencing the room. "Explain its purpose." Kira took a deep breath. "If the Devourer reaches our galaxy, it will tear through systems faster than any fleet can stop it. Project Aegis is designed to delay it. Contain it. Give us time to fight back? Delay?" The Zikri representative squeaked. "Not stop?" Kira shook her head. "We don't know how to stop something that consumes galaxies, but we can slow it down. We can protect parts of our galaxy long enough to evacuate, regroup, and strike." The chamber shook with noise again. "Humans built this alone?" a delegate shouted. "Impossible," said another. "How long have you been working on this?" asked the synth representative. 22 years, Kira answered. The room fell silent once again. 22 years was not long, not for something so enormous, so advanced. The fact that humans built it in less than 3 decades was terrifying to some and incredible to others. The aquatic representative from earlier spoke softly. "So that is why humans expand so quickly. Why you experiment. Why you build weapons." Kira nodded once. "We need every advantage we can get." Valen's voice dropped to a low rumble. "Why not tell the council about this construction?" "We did," Kira replied calmly. "You said humans were wasting resources. One of your advisors even suggested shutting the project down." Valen stiffened but said nothing. Kira continued. "We knew what we saw. We trusted our scientists. And we trusted our instincts." A delegate from a small mammalian species spoke. "How can we be sure that your evidence is real? That this threat is not exaggerated?" Kira nodded, expecting the question. "You can send your own scientists to review our data. We are ready to share everything." This shocked the room more than the threat itself. Humans had always been careful with their technology, but now Kira was offering it freely. "Furthermore," she said, "we have a long-range detection station monitoring the Devourer's movement. If the Council doubts us, you can examine it directly." Before anyone could respond, one of Kira's aides stepped forward, whispering urgently into her ear. Kira's face changed, not with fear, but with focus. She turned to the Council. "We have a situation." Valen straightened. "Explain." "Our station on the edge of the Orion Arm has detected a new disturbance, much stronger than the previous ones." The chamber erupted into noise once more. "Is it the Devourer?" the leery representative asked. Kira shook her head slowly. "We don't know. But the pattern matches earlier signs." Valen's voice became stern. "How close?" Kira looked down at her wrist device. "Close enough that we need to prepare." Many delegates began talking at once, panic rising quickly. Over the noise, the Groll shouted, "If this is real, the Council must take action." "We need proof," yelled another. "We need time," cried a third. Kira raised her hand. The room did not quiet immediately, but slowly. The voices lowered. "We do not have time," she said softly. The softness made the words heavier. Kira walked around the platform, addressing the entire chamber. "Humanity has been preparing alone because we believed no one would listen. But today you have seen our evidence. You have seen our work. Whether the Council believes in the Devourer or not, you cannot deny the danger shown in these readings." Valen clenched his hands. "What do you suggest, Ambassador?" Kira stopped walking and faced him directly. "Send a joint investigation fleet to the Orion Arm. include human scientists and council scientists. If the disturbance is harmless, you will have proven your point. If it is the devourer, she paused, then we will face it together. The chamber grew quieter as delegates weighed her words. The synth representative spoke first. I support the proposal. We cannot ignore this data. The aquatic representative nodded. My people agree. Slowly, several others voiced their support, but not everyone. The leery representative rose sharply. This is a manipulation. Humans show dramatic images, speak dramatic words, and expect us to panic. This is how they justify their technology. The Grawl slammed a fist on their desk. Use your eyes. The images are real. They could be fabricated, the leery hissed. Kira sighed softly. If we wanted to lie, we would not offer full access to our data. Still, the leery shook their head. Humans want more power. That is all? Kira stepped forward, her voice firm. If we wanted power, we would not build a shield to protect all species. We would build weapons to protect only ourselves. The leery froze, unsure what to say. Kira continued, speaking clearly. We don't want control. We want survival. A long silence followed. Valen finally rose. Ambassador Holt, the Council will vote on your proposal. But before that, I must ask one more question. He leaned forward. Is Project Aegis fully operational? Kira shook her head. No, only fragments are active. The system needs more time, more resources, and more minds. Valen nodded slowly. So even if the threat arrives, the galaxy is not ready. Kira's eyes softened with something that almost looked like sorrow. No, we are not. But then she straightened her back. But we can be. Her voice filled the chamber. Steady and strong, if we work together. For the first time, the delegates saw something they had missed before, not human. Arrogance, not human. Pride, not human. Recklessness, but human determination. The determination that had carried their species from a small blue planet into the endless stars. Valen slowly took his seat again. The Council will consider your words. The vote will begin soon. Kira bowed her head slightly. Thank you. As she returned to her position at the center of the platform, she noticed something new. The fear in the room was still there, but now, hope sat beside it because the Council finally realized something important. Humans were not the threat, they were the warning and perhaps the galaxy's best chance for survival. The Council chamber felt restless, as if every breath inside it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken fears. After Ambassador Kira Holt revealed the existence of the Devourer and the scale of Project Aegis, the delegates were shaken. Some were frightened. Some were angry. Some were simply in denial. But no one could ignore the truth anymore. The vote took place on a massive holographic display above the chamber. Names of species flashed, one by one as their decisions were cast. Yes, no, abstain. The lights blinked across the screen like a star. Field caught in a storm. Kira watched quietly. Her arms stayed at her sides, her face composed, though inside she felt the tension twisting like a coiled wire. She knew what was at stake. If the Council refused her proposal, humanity would face the Devourer alone and the rest of the galaxy would follow soon after. Finally, the last vote flickered into place. The display dimmed. Counselor Valen rose to announce the result. His tall form cast a long shadow across the chamber floor. The Council has decided, he said slowly. By a narrow majority, a joint investigation fleet will be sent to the Orion Arm to confirm or deny the presence of this threat. A wave of mixed reactions rolled through the chamber. Some delegates sighed with relief. Others muttered with frustration. A few looked terrified, as if confirmation would mean the end of everything. Kira simply nodded. Thank you, Counselor. This decision will save lives. But before anyone else could speak, the doors of the chamber burst open. A young council officer ran in, eyes wide with panic. Emergency transmission! It is urgent. The chamber fell silent. From where? Valen demanded. From the outpost on the Orion border, the officer said, voice trembling. Sector 9, the one monitoring the disturbances. Kira felt her stomach tighten. Put it on the main screen, Valen ordered. The large central screen flickered, then filled with static. Slowly, an image emerged, a frightened human officer, sparks flying behind him, alarms blaring in the background. "This is Outpost Orion 9, he shouted over the noise. "We have detected massive gravitational distortion. It's not like before. This is stronger. Much stronger. Our equipment is failing. The distortion is expanding." The screen crackled violently. Kira stepped forward. "Outpost 9, this is Ambassador Holt. Can you identify the source?" The officer struggled to respond. Smoke billowed behind him. "We think it's... The signal cut for a moment, then returned. Something is pushing into our space. It's tearing holes in the fabric. We can't..." A deafening blast shook the screen. The officer screamed. Alarms wailed. The image bent, twisted, then shattered into pure static. The screen went black. Absolute silence filled the chamber. Then chaos erupted. "This proves nothing," shouted the leery representative. "That thing destroyed an entire station." The Groll roared. "We must activate defenses immediately," cried the aquatic representative. "We need more data," yelled another voice. Kira let the noise build for a few seconds before she raised her voice, not loudly, but firmly enough. The simple word carried across the chamber like a command. The room fell silent again. Kira looked up at Valen. "Counselor, we need to act. Now, not next cycle. Not after another debate, now." Valen stared at her, the weight of the moment pressing visibly onto his shoulders. "What do you propose?" Kira took a deep breath. "Deploy the investigation fleet immediately, and send backup fleets from the nearest council sectors. The humans will deploy our own defense groups as well." The leery representative stood sharply. "You expect us to give control to the humans?" "No," Kira replied calmly. "I expect us to work together." The leery scoffed. "This is your doing. Your species provoked this with your experiments." Kira did not look away. "The Devourer existed long before humans appeared. It is not coming because of us. It is coming because that is what it does. If you want to blame someone, blame the universe for being dangerous, not us for trying to survive." The Groll representative slammed a fist down. "Enough, we have seen the evidence. We just saw a station fall. How much more proof do you need?" The leery hesitated, then sat down. Kira looked across the chamber at all the delegates. "The Devourer does not care about your politics. It does not care about borders or rules. It consumes everything. If we do not work together, it will eat us species by species until nothing remains." Valen nodded slowly. "Very well. The fleets will be deployed. But we need a coordinator. Someone to direct both council forces and human forces." The chamber grew still. Everyone knew what that meant. Someone had to take responsibility for whatever happened next. Someone had to face the unknown first. The synth representative stood. Humans discovered the threat. Humans built Project Aegis. Humans understand this enemy the most. The logical choice is Ambassador Holt. Kira froze for just a moment. She had expected to help. She had not expected to command. Valen looked at her. "Ambassador Holt, will you lead the coalition fleet?" Kira exhaled slowly. Her eyes reflected both fear and determination. "Yes, I will." A ripple of whispers traveled through the chamber. The aquatic representative bowed its head. "Then we put our trust in you." Even the Groll nodded approvingly. Only the leery remained silent, but they did not object. Valen raised his staff. "Then it is decided. Ambassador Holt will lead the coalition fleet to the Orion Arm." Kira placed her hand on her heart in respect. "I will not fail." As the chamber prepared to adjourn, another officer rushed in. "Counselor, incoming message from the human command fleet. It's critical." Valen motioned. "Put it through." The screen lit up again, this time showing Admiral Marcus Reeve, commander of the 1st Human Defense Armada. His face was stern, his uniform scorched, and behind him, the bridge of his ship shook from impacts. Kira, he said, skipping all formalities. We have a problem. Kira's heart tightened. What kind of problem? Reeves' eyes narrowed. The Devourer just made its first move. Small scouts. Dark shapes. They tore through our perimeter ships like paper. We lost 2 cruisers already. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Kira stepped closer. Are they heading for the Orion border? Reeve nodded grimly. Yes, and they're fast. Faster than anything we've ever seen? He leaned forward. We need backup. Now. Kira turned to Valen. There's no more time for debate. Valen stood. Agreed. The fleets will depart immediately. Reeve glanced around, noticing the council chamber behind Kira for the first time. Is the council actually supporting us? Kira gave a small, tired smile. For once, yes. Reeve let out a breath. Good, because we're going to need every ship we can get. The transmission cut. Kira looked around the chamber. Many delegates appeared pale or shaken, but none of them doubted the truth anymore. The Devourer was real. It was already attacking, and the galaxy was out of time. Valen spoke with solemn authority. Ambassador Holt, prepare your fleets. The galaxy places its hope in you. Kira nodded once. I will do everything in my power. She paused, then added quietly, and more. With the council's blessing and the galaxy's future at stake, she turned and walked out of the chamber. Her footsteps echoed softly on the polished floor, behind her. The delegates whispered with fear, wonder, and something new. Respect. They had mocked humanity once. They had feared humanity once. They had doubted humanity once. But now, when darkness crept toward them all, they trusted humanity. And Kira Holt would not let them down. The coalition fleet moved through space like a shining river of metal and light. Hundreds of ships from different species, sleek human cruisers, heavy Gruul warships, graceful aquatic vessels, and strange, shimmering synth craft drifted in formation. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was united under a single mission. Kira Holt stood on the command deck of the human flagship, the Horizon Breaker. The ship's wide windows showed a terrifying sight, the Orion border, where stars flickered unnaturally and space twisted as if something was pulling reality apart. She felt a chill, but her voice stayed steady as she addressed her officers. Report. Commander Halle, her second-in-command, stepped forward. We are approaching the last known location of the Devourer scouts. The council fleets are holding formation behind us. All weapons are charged. Shields at maximum. He hesitated, but the distortion ahead is growing rapidly. Kira nodded slowly. Everyone, stay sharp. We are entering unknown territory. Behind her, screens flashed with data energy spikes, gravitational waves, broken signals from the destroyed stations. The Devourer's presence twisted the readings into chaotic patterns. Kira remembered the panicked face of the officer from Outpost 9. She promised herself that no more outposts. No more ships? No more lives would be lost if she could prevent it? The Horizon Breaker glided into the distortion zone. A strange silence fell over the bridge. Then, lights began to fade. Power levels dropping. An engineer shouted. Compensate, Kira ordered. Suddenly, the darkness ahead shifted, and something emerged. It looked like a shadow made solid. Black, shapeless, clawing through space with long, tendril-like limbs. Its surface shimmered with the reflections of dying stars, as if it was made from the remains of galaxies already consumed. Commander Halle whispered, What is that thing? Before anyone could answer, dozens more shapes appeared behind it, the Devourer scouts. Kira spoke calmly. All ships, prepare for engagement. Hold formation. Do not fire until I give the order. The creature moved faster than light. One moment it floated ahead, the next it shot toward them. Brace. Halle shouted. The creature slammed into the Horizon Breaker's shields, sending shockwaves across every console. Alarms blared. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Shields holding. An officer cried. Kira raised her hand. Fire! The command spread through the fleet. Human rail cannons fired bright streams of metal. Council plasma weapons shot glowing waves. Synth ships released harmonic energy pulses. The space around them lit up like a storm. The Devourer scouts shrieked not in sound, but in a vibrating distortion that rattled bones and glass alike. Their bodies tore apart under the combined fire, dissolving into dust-like particles that vanished into the void. Cheers erupted across the bridge, but Kira did not celebrate. She stared ahead. The distortion was widening. Something far bigger was pushing through. This was only the vanguard, Kira said softly. The real threat is still coming. The Coalition fleet moved deeper into the zone. Behind Kira, dozens of screens displayed the same terrifying reading, an energy signature far beyond anything previously detected. Then the darkness split open. A massive shape emerged, vast enough to eclipse stars, its presence bending space like liquid. It moved slowly, but every motion carried unimaginable power. Even the Groll captain on board the Comlink sounded afraid. By the ancestors, how do we fight something that size? Kira didn't blink. Together, the Devourer's main body pulsed, releasing a wave of dark energy. Incoming! Halle shouted. Keir instantly ordered, activate Aegis fragments. Form the shield. At her words, human ships released glowing arcs of energy. The arcs connected with Council defense ships, forming a massive barrier. Shimmering dome across the entire fleet. The Devourer's wave struck. The barrier shook violently. Ships trembled. Energy levels dropped, but the shield held. All ships, Kira commanded, fire with everything you have. Don't stop. The space around them turned into pure chaos. Weapons fired nonstop. Energy beams sliced through darkness. Explosions lit the void like miniature suns. The Devourer shuddered under the assault, but it kept moving. Admiral Reeve, Kira said, overcomes. Bring the second fleet in from the left. Cut off its escape path? On it, Reeve replied. His ships appeared, engines blazing. Groll ships target its limb structures. Understood. Aquatic vessels deploy gravity wells. Slow it down. Preparing now? The fleets moved with precision. The once disorganized Council forces now followed Kira's orders, as if they had trained under her for years. The Devourer released a distorted roar, pulse that crashed directly into the horizon. Breaker, shields failing. An officer screamed. Hold steady, Kira demanded. The ship shook violently. Panels fell. Sparks erupted. Several officers fell from their stations. Keir reached down, helping one injured officer back to their feet. Stay with me. We are not done yet. The Devourer tried to pull energy from the surrounding space, but the gravity wells deployed by the aquatic species slowed the pull. The synth ships amplified the human energy beams. The Groll fired powerful kinetic strikes that tore into the Devourer's body. For the first time, the massive creature recoiled. Kira saw her moment. All ships, concentrate fire on the central core, she commanded. Now! The Coalition fleet unleashed a final, unified attack, a massive beam of pure light and force converging on the creature's core. For a second, nothing happened. Then the Devourer shuddered. Cracks of light spread across its surface. It tried to pull away. It tried to retreat, but humanity and the Council did not let it. The core exploded. A silent flash lit the void, spreading across space like a second dawn. The Devourer's body collapsed into fragments of glowing dust that drifted away like fading embers. The bridge fell completely. Silent. Then cheers erupted. Shouts of relief, joy, victory. Ships across the fleet celebrated. Council delegates watching remotely wept with disbelief. After centuries of fear and denial, the galaxy had survived the Devourer. Commander Halle placed a hand over his heart. We did it. Kira did not smile at first. She watched the last fragments fade. Only when the darkness cleared did she allow herself a breath. It's over, she whispered. We saved them. Admiral Reeve appeared on the main screen. His face was exhausted but proud. Kira, you just did what no one else in the galaxy could do. You united them. Kira shook her head softly. They united themselves. I only showed them why they needed to. The return journey to the Council homeworld was long but peaceful. When the fleet finally arrived, they were greeted by a sight no human had ever seen. Every species of the Council thousands of delegates stood outside the central hall, waiting. As Kira stepped off the ship, a wave of applause spread across the plaza. Valen approached her, his voice warm for the first time. "Ambassador Holt, you have not only saved the galaxy, you have reshaped it," Kira responded quietly. "We all played our part." The aquatic ambassador spoke. "Humanity mocked our rules once. We thought you were reckless, disruptive, unpredictable." The Grohl captain added, "But today, we understand that your courage is not arrogance. It is hope." Kira felt her throat tighten. Valen raised his staff. "From this day onward, humanity will not be summoned as a defiant newcomer, but welcomed as a leading guardian of the galaxy." The delegates bowed. Keir bowed back. The galaxy had changed. Humans had changed it. And in the quiet moment that followed, Kira finally let herself smile. Humanity had mocked the Galactic Council's demands, but when the galaxy needed, saving humanity delivered.